and welcome to another Royal Reviewer live weekly chat. And what a voluptuous week it's been again. How fantastic. Welcome to a very special, I suppose, Royal Chelsea Flower Show themed edition of this week's chat. I'm going to start by doing something that I don't normally do, something a little bit different. I'm going to sing you a little song, a little bit like an intro. So without further ado, here goes. God save our gracious Queen, long live our noble Queen, God save the Queen. Send her victorious, happy and glorious, long to reign over us. God save the Queen. Ta-da! There we go. I wanted to do that for a while, but I've done it this week. So let me go without further ado and find the live chat. I did pre-open it, so it shouldn't take me too long. Okay. Don't forget, you can catch any of this chat on Catch Up if you want to. Immediately after this chat is finished, you can go straight. It goes straight onto YouTube. And I do have a very special announcement to announce later on in the show. So keep watching. There will be a very, very, very special announcement. So I can see Vanal, which is Candice. So hello to Candice. Hello to David Penner from Chicago. KM says good evening. MSMB 2012 says hello from California. Marsha is from Chicago too. Hello to Marsha. Political Vector says hello, and you're from San Francisco. Jamie, who is otherwise known as Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, says God save the Queen. Marilyn says good evening, Elliot. Vanal says that's so wonderful. You have a lovely voice. I'm not so sure I do, but I've always wanted to do it for my live chat as a kind of intro, like an intro song, but royal themed. KM says love the bow tie, very classy. Thank you. And for those of you that didn't tune in right at the very, very start of the few seconds, I did say that this edition is kind of Chelsea Flower Show themed. I have Queen Elizabeth's flower basket brooch. I have my flower shirt and an array of flowers in the background. So I hope that you enjoy the Chelsea Flower Show themed edition. And just as a little bit of a nod to the weather, I have a pair of sunglasses too, because the weather has been absolutely swelteringly hot in the UK. It's not normally this hot, but it has been really, really, really hot. And the British always, I suppose, moan quite a lot about the weather. We always moan that it's too cold and that we really want the sun. And then when the sun comes and the heat comes, we really, really moan. So yes, it's been swelteringly hot. A bit cooler today, so it's not too bad. But I hope you've all had a wonderful week where you are. Hi, it's Astrid says hi, and Rule Britannia. And Astrid says, are you gay? And she's a lesbian. Yes, I am. And nice to know you are too. Jamie says, hope you've had a voluptuous week. I hope everyone's had a very voluptuous week. And I hope you've all got your favourite drink. I've got mine too. And so for those of you who don't know the format of these live weekly chats, you just basically say hi. You can ask me a question, just find the chat box that you can see, type your question in, and I will try and answer it as best I can. Sometimes you guys give me really good ideas for videos, so I may want to save one of your questions for a video if I feel it's a really good question. Some of them that I've saved up I haven't had a chance to do, but because I am on a holiday this week, I may have a chance to catch up, providing there's not too much current royal news going on. So hopefully I can catch up and answer some of your questions. I do have my chat list as normal to help me remember what to say, but you guys do a fantastic job every single week, so I never really have to use it. Teresa says, you are so cute, thank you very much. Astrid is in Belfast. Political Vet says, looking rather tropical. Well, I should really have a cocktail instead of my cup of tea. Astrid says, do you like pot noodles? Yes. In fact, I had one this week, actually, because I was too lazy to make my lunch for work. Jamie says, Elliot, I was wondering when you go to London, how will you be getting there? Probably by train. And I have one change of station if I go by train. Sian Moon says, hi, I make it nice here in California. Well, the weather's pretty much always nice in California, isn't it? So I would expect nothing less, but in the UK, it's usually rather dull and a little bit boring. So let's kick off with, I suppose, the theme of the week, which is the Chelsea Flower Show. So the Chelsea Flower Show has been happening all week. The royal family and celebrities do get a preview on the day before. So the Queen and other members of the royal family went to the Chelsea Flower Show and had a preview of all the different displays and show gardens. And it looked like they had a really good time. So I made a video on that. Please do go and watch it, especially if you like horticulture and gardening, or even if you just like to see pretty flowers and the Queen with pretty flowers. The Queen usually goes every single year. I don't think she's missed many at all. And just out of interest, Meghan Markle has a real interest in flowers. So if her relationship does progress to being a member of the royal family, I would imagine this is one event that she would probably turn up to, because she does have a real interest in flowers. We've seen her in pictures buying fresh cut flowers to make Harry's apartment or cottage at Kensington Palace that extra bit special and give it that homely touch. So I can expect to see Meghan at the Chelsea Flower Show if she does marry into the family. Jamie says, how long is the train? Ooh, I don't know. I can't remember, to be honest. I'm going to have to say I don't know on that one. Wendy says, do you think the Queen will abdicate, or do you think it's time for her to get along, for her to go along with Prince Philip? Well, Prince Philip hasn't gone. He's still there. He just hasn't. He's just retired from the formal day-to-day engagements. So, for example, you know, he's patron of hundreds of charities. He won't do any day-to-day work for those charities. However, he will still play a key role in all the events like Trooping the Colour, State Opening of Parliament, and he has said that he will appear and do certain engagements that he wants to do as and when he wants to do it. So although he's retired, he hasn't gone. The Queen takes her oath, a coronation oath, and her promise that she made to the country, whether her life be long or short, that she would always stay devoted to the country. I think she takes that very seriously, so I don't think we'll see an abdication. And that she's not at the stage where she needs a regency. She's still of sound mind, of sound body, and she's not absent from the country. So those are the three criteria that would have to be in existence for there to be a regency, for the Regency Council to place Prince Charles as regent. So because those haven't happened, we're kind of in uncharted waters. So I just think we're going to carry on with the gentle handover. So the Queen will do less and less and less, and Charles and the rest of the royals will do more. But no, I don't think she will abdicate. That's more of a, I suppose, mainland European stance on monarchy. MSNB says, Elliot, I saw on the BBC's Elizabeth 90 on Netflix this week. Have you seen it yet? I enjoyed it very much. Yes, apparently the Queen has been watching the Netflix's The Crown, and I have watched it. I did put it off for a very long time, but I eventually watched it and I really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forwards very much to the new upcoming series. And apparently the Queen did enjoy it too, although she did think, according to the sources, whether you believe them or not, she did think that some of the aspects were over dramatized, which we kind of knew anyway. But generally she thought it was good and she enjoyed it, if you believe the source. Teresa says, Meghan has a motherly attitude, that's why Harry likes her. I said, yeah, I can get that. Definitely get that. I think Charles has the same need in a partner, and that is for someone to be a little bit motherly. Jamie says, remember when the Queen wore those black flowers on her head in the Chelsea Flower Show a few years back? I thought she looked horrible. That's the worst thing she's ever worn, in my opinion. Possibly next to the green screen jacket, maybe. That divided people too. Teresa says, and she can't wait to become a princess. I think she's more than anything looking forward to, if it does go that far, of course, the charity work that she's able to do, and not having to do media work to get money. She can just do the charity stuff because she wants to do it. Astrid says, I like Harry, he's a ginger like you. Political Vet says, Elliot, I thought Prince Philip was retiring. It seems like he's out and about more than ever. Why is that? That's because he doesn't technically retire until after his Balmoral summer break. So technically, October is his retirement date. So he's still working, he's still carrying out any of his engagements that were already booked, but he's not taking on new ones. And from October, he'll be picking and choosing what he does as and when he wants to do it. Although I predict that we may see him wanting to accompany the Queen more on what would have been probably her solo engagements. So I think he'll just pick and choose how he feels on the day, where he wants to turn up or not. Astrid says, I hope Harry becomes king. I very much doubt that will happen. We have, of course, Charles first, then William, then George. And if George doesn't have children, Charlotte and her offspring. So no, I doubt that will happen. It would have to be a pretty catastrophic event for that to happen. Marsha says, are you surprised that you're chatting all over America? No, I'm not surprised. I was surprised the very first time I did these live chats. I didn't expect them to go kind of global. But now I know that I get people from America, Canada, the Philippines, Australia, the UK, mainland Europe, everywhere. So it doesn't matter where you are in the world, you can join in this chat, even if you're watching on catch up. Just leave a comment, and I do try to answer as many comments as I can. Although sadly I haven't been able to get through as many as what I used to. There's so many comments these days, but I always do read them, and if I give your comment a thumbs up, it means that I've read it. And if I haven't commented and replied to you, it just means that I haven't had time. But if I give it a thumbs up, then I've read it. Caroline N says, hi Elliot, just heard one of my favourite singers passed away, Greg Allman. Oh, I didn't know. So Greg Allman has passed away. So you're signing off for now. See you next week. Goodbye, Caroline, and I hope you're okay. I know that sometimes celebrity deaths, people that you really admire, can really affect us. So I hope you're okay, and hopefully to see you next week. And please watch on catch up. Speaking of tragic deaths, I would like to take this point as I suppose a natural point in the conversation to talk about it. We have gone through the Manchester bombing in the UK at the Ariana Grande concert in Manchester, where I think it was 23 people were killed tragically. So I would like to offer my condolences to the families and relatives and friends of the victims and to anyone injured. And also my heart goes out to the whole of Manchester. I think it's absolutely amazing how everyone's pulling together, and there's a real community spirit that's sort of emanating from Manchester, and I think that's quite captivating and inspiring. So out of tragedy can come something inspirational, and I think that's what's happening now. So my heart goes out to Manchester, to all of Manchester, and anyone that's ever been affected by terrorism. So I'd just like to say that. And also, if you want to watch the video I made of the Queen, and she was visiting victims of the attacks in hospital, young girls in particular. So if you want to watch that, then please do. On another point, Ariana Grande has said that she will return to the UK and she will do a special fundraising and awareness concert for the victims, or in support of the victims and their families and friends. So I'd just like to point that out as well, because Ariana was taking some stick in the press about having returned to America so soon. So that's my condolences gone out to everybody. MSNB says, no, not The Crown. It's a documentary narrated by Prince Charles. The title is Elizabeth. Oh, Elizabeth at 90. Yes, I did see that. And I did enjoy that as well. There was lots of different shows about Queen Elizabeth at 90, and that was a particularly good one. I also loved the one, I'm not sure if it's this one, but I loved the one where they were showing all the home movies and the Queen was sat with Charles and looked like they were having a really good time reminiscing. So I did really enjoy that. Jamie says, no, the lime green was one of your favourites. The worst was when she dressed like an 18th Eton schoolboy when she visited Canada in the 70s. Oh, I can't picture that one. Please find it me and tweet it me. For those of you who don't know, I'm on Twitter, royal_reviewer on Twitter, and you can tweet me live in the show. Just tell me that you sent me a tweet, or I will periodically check, so I can check to see if you've sent me a tweet. Please follow me on there too. I'm also on Facebook, Royal Reviewer on Facebook, and there's also a special Patreon group for patrons on Facebook. And as I said, you can also support this channel. You can be a site supporter and make some pledges to the channel, which all goes back into making more and better videos and more sort of off-site content, I suppose. And I'm putting at the moment most of any money that's raised that way from Patreon into my London trip, which hopefully I'll be able to do for my birthday, which is August the 4th. So please take a look at Royal Reviewer on Patreon. The link is in the description. Elaine says, I always try to comment, and I know Elaine does, because I do see all of Elaine's comments. So they are very much appreciated. Marilyn says, God bless the people of Manchester and the United Kingdom. Candice says, love and hugs to everyone in Manchester. What a terrible tragedy. It is indeed. Carol says, I think the romance between Prince Harry and Meghan would make a great rom-com movie. It probably will do. Someone's probably already writing it right now. Deborah says, how many garden parties are there by invite only? Looks like they're huge. Okay, I think there's about 6. Someone may correct me, but I think there's about 6 per year. And we're on the 2nd one now. And each one can hold about 2,000 to 3,000 people at a time. So they are huge. And if you look, you can find some photographs where someone's taken an aerial shot of when a party is happening. And there are massive marquees set up where people can get food and refreshments and, of course, English tea. And it would be amazing to be invited to one. And one day I would love to be invited. But of course, it's usually people that have done some good work. They've had their names put forward and they've been invited as a celebration of the good work they do in their local communities. Candice says, the Queen referred to the attack as wicked, which was exactly right. I completely agree. And somebody, I can't remember who it was, someone in the comment section on that video said, you know, that the Queen saying things like, did you enjoy the concert, was disrespectful. And my response to that, my comment that I left was that you're talking about a 91-year-old lady who has, you know, let's forget for a moment that she's Queen. She's a 91-year-old lady who has lived through the war. She's lived through hundreds of thousands of British people dying in conflict. She's lived through IRA bombings. She's lived through massacres where children have been slaughtered in schools. She's lived through many tragedies. Although this attack is tragic, it's current, so therefore it's the biggest thing at the moment. But you're talking about a lady who has seen it all. She's seen tragedy, she's seen destruction, she's seen death, and she's seen grief, you know, great outpourings of grief. So you have to put it in context. You know, I think her comments about did you enjoy the concert it's kind of like that wartime spirit of keep calm and carry on. You know, British stiff upper lip. They aren't going to get us. You know, we're going to get through this. And I think that's the spirit that she was trying to invoke and when she was visiting the people in hospital. So I think, you know, some people may take what she said, the comments she said, quite literally, but you have to put them in context of what she's seen in her life. And of course, she knows that these people have got to move on with their lives. Of course, it's very tragic right now. Emotions are high, but basically, the people left behind are the ones that have got to move on. And, you know, if you can take anything, any amount of joy from any of the experience, you know, even if it was just the bit of the concert that you did say was enjoyable, then, you know, that might work for some people. So I think the Queen was trying to be supportive. And I don't think she should be hated on for that. What do you think? Let me know. Please leave a comment. Freya says, how would one address Prince George or Princess Charlotte if you were to meet them? And you say, obviously you call them your Royal Highness first, but it seems odd to call them Sir and Ma'am after. And well, I've never met a young prince. I would imagine you would just, I'd imagine you would call them Sir. I don't think there's any other way that you would, really. Probably the only people that don't is maybe the nanny, who has to work with them very closely and form a little bit of that bond. But basically, I think you probably would call them Sir and Ma'am, definitely. Caroline says, yes, so very sorry for the Manchester disaster, and you wanted to add that. Betty says, watched a lecture by Hugh Vickers on on Prince Philip's mother, Princess Alice. She was quite an interesting person. Yes, she was quite the character and had quite the life. I think I've missed quite a few comments. I'm going to just try and whiz through as many as I can before I get too far behind. Jamie says, deluded evil pigs who carry out these attacks, but they won't win. Love triumphs hate. I would agree. NSMB 2012 says, hit the like button, everyone. Please do. Double thumbs up. Political Vet says, Elliot, in the wake of the terrible Manchester tragedy, do you know if British laws allow Ariana Grande and the venue operators to be sued by the victims' families? Well, I was thinking about this myself, and I very much don't think so. Let's face it, it doesn't matter how much security there was inside the foyer. If this person wanted to attack and wanted to bomb and wanted to cause destruction and death, all they would do is just wait outside the doors. You know, these doors, everyone pours out of these different entrances. If it wasn't in the foyer, it would have been outside, or it would have been at the bus stop before people went home, or the train station, or, you know, people walking to and from these different points, or the taxi rank. It would have been somewhere. So I don't think any amount of increased security would have stopped it. I think if somebody's going to do that, they would. Possibly the only way it could have been prevented is if through intelligence it was spotted earlier and then stopped and nipped in the bud before the bomb was even made, I think. I hope that makes sense. Freya says, did you find anything out about the private apartments in St James's Palace? No, I didn't. I had a very busy week, as always. But because I've got a week, I have got a week to go, a week's holiday, so I will try and squeeze that in. I really will. Dawn says, hi Elliot and everyone, a bit late. I love the show Queen at 90. I think we all did. You've recorded it and watch it often. It's good that you repeat watch things, and it's good that you've got things that you like to repeat watch. Wonderful to see the Queen so present-minded and able to remember so much. I agree. Susan says, has anyone described the dress that Meghan wore to the evening party? Oh, I think someone did. I think it was dark with a cream jacket. I think I remember someone saying. But of course, in the very grainy picture in the car, we didn't really get to see it. Jamie says, 3 in Buckingham Palace, I think, 1 in Holyrood and 1 in Balmoral. So that's 3. That's 5. I think it's 6. I still think 6, possibly. Theta says, do you know much about the Queen Mother's extended family? Would be interesting more about them. I know a little bit about her parents, but beyond that, I haven't really looked much into it. But yes, you're quite right. That's very interesting to look at the Strathmores. Becky says, so glad I could make it here this evening. I'm glad you could too. And Jamie says, actually, if you ask your local bishop, he can get you an invite. Really? Well, I'll be on the phone to my bishop. Freya says, is it true that the Queen tried to set Prince William up with Princess Madeleine of Sweden? I think that's probably just rumour. I mean, the Queen doesn't really play matchmaker. I don't think she ever has done in any of her children's lives that much. And certainly she knows that if she would do, it probably wouldn't be taken up on. Marsha says, Greg Allman was married to Cher. Of course he was. How could I forget? So she's lost both her former husbands. Yeah, she has. Emily Rose says, how would Harry's children be addressed as? Well, whilst the Queen is living, they would be addressed as the child of a duke if he was given a royal dukedom at marriage. When the Queen dies and Charles is king, they would be entitled to be princes and princesses of the United Kingdom. MSMB says, let me just go up. I think it was wonderful of the Queen to go to the hospital to see the victims. Yes, and of course I think it looked like she really wanted to. It almost looked like she wanted to say more to them, but she couldn't because the cameras were on. So I think she was being a little bit guarded in what she said. But yes, I think the message was loud and clear, and her visit was very heartfelt and warm towards the victims. Jamie says, what else was the Queen supposed to say? Was the ambulance trip fun? Some stupid people around these days. Yeah, I mean, like I say, I think it's just that sort of wartime spirit of, death and destruction all around, but yet you keep calm and you carry on. We remember the Queen Mother visiting bomb sites in London, and those messages, sent shockwaves around the world, and especially to Hitler, who described her as the most dangerous woman in Europe. And I think, the Queen remembers this. Candice says, when the Queen asked young people if they enjoyed the concert, she obviously meant before the attack. Yes, of course. And you don't think it was the wrong thing to ask, and neither do I. Jamie says, a nail bomb against little girls, it doesn't get any lower than that. Freya says, are there any members of the royal families who are directioners? Directioner? Can someone please explain directioners? I may have lost something in translation. Betty says, although the Queen isn't hands-on as Princess Diana, she's always sincere and would never be disrespectful. I think if she supports something, if she's patron of something, if she visits a certain cause or visits something after a tragedy, then that speaks volumes, the fact that she's just there. Steve says, hi, a bit late this week, been out today. Don't worry, you can watch on catch up any of the bits that you've missed. So welcome to Steve. Critical Vector says, Elliot, I understand that ABC made a documentary of the last 100 days of Princess Diana's life. Have you seen it? I haven't seen it, but I think I've seen like a clip, not a clip, like I think I've seen the video picture on YouTube, but I didn't click on it, so I haven't actually looked. Although I did make a video, not even knowing that one was out, similar of the days up to Princess Diana's death and the aftermath of the death. So please watch that video. I would like to point out that that video has not been monetized, and it does include content which some people may find distressing. And I think it's important at this time, the 20th anniversary, when there's all this talk of nice flowery things, her dresses on show, a statue, inspirational Diana awards being given out, lots of nicey things to remember her by. I think a lot of people, I don't think we should deviate from the fact of the reality of what happened, and that it was a very tragic situation. So that video was intended to kind of bring people back to 1997, where it all happened. and hopefully put everything into perspective. And if you've seen that video, then you'll know what I mean. Jamie says 3 at Buckingham Palace and 1 in Holyrood. That's all it says. Well, that must be true then. So there you go. In that case, it is 4 per year. Dawn says, watch your gardening video. Subscribed, and I put asparagus on the barbecue because of you. Thanks for the reminder. I had some. Okay, Dawn has just referenced something which I was going to save till a bit later, but don't worry, I will do it now. So I've launched a brand new channel. It's not a channel about the royal family. It's about me and aspects of my life. So it's called Elliot Phillips Aspects of My Life. And if you go to the description in this live chat video now, I've put the link. So you can click on it and you can subscribe and you can watch my very first video. So the whole concept is that there is different aspects of my life. There's the fact that I do lots of gardening. I love gardening. Then there's traveling and trips and politics and reviewing things, and not just royal things but other things in general. So there's going to be eventually all these different playlists that reflect the different aspects of my life. So it's a real stab at actual vlogging, real life vlogging with me and about my life, and it's about sharing my life with you guys. So please take a look. And the first playlist I've created is my gardening playlist and my horticulture playlist. So please take a look. It's about my greenhouse and what's in there, what I'm going to be doing in there. You get to see my cats. So yeah, so please take a look. So I've launched this new channel, and hopefully it will take off. I mean, basically, each of these playlists could have its own channel in its own right, and who's to say in the future it might do. If my gardening playlist sort of takes off above any others, I might create a complete gardening channel on its own, a standalone channel. So let's see where this goes. Please like the videos if you do like them, of course. Subscribe, share them, and please let's get this going. So Elliot Phillips, Aspects of My Life, if you're interested. Okay, Becky says the last 100 was pretty good. It was by Martin Bashir. Okay, I think I need to watch this then. Oh, MSND One Direction fans. I thought you meant that, but I thought, I don't know. Maybe the Queen is a Directioner. Who knows? I'm not entirely sure. Maybe Eugenie and Beatrice? I can't say for sure. I don't know. I'd have to ask them. Freya telling me a Directioner is a fan of One Direction. Dawn says, I think the Queen mentioned the concert was to bring out that there's good memories. Yes, of course. And you can't let a terror attack ruin your life. Of course, for some people, it's going to have a devastating impact. But the people that are left are the ones that have to carry on, and the Queen knows that. And I think that was reflected in the things that she said. Becky says there was another Diana special on this past week. Oh, which one? I'm not sure I saw it. That's a tongue twister. Too many S's. Dawn agrees. Diana's 100 Days was a very good show. Freya says, will they ever release the autopsy photographs? I don't think so. Out of morbid curiosity, I would like to see them too. But I don't think so. I think they will be closely guarded. Maybe in 100 years, when everyone currently in her memory that remember her are gone. Maybe things do have a habit of being released well after the event, hundreds of years down the line. So perhaps in the future, but I don't think we will get to see them. Thetis says you like the Queen, but do you like the band Queen? I do like the band Queen. Becky says this was about her life and death, what really happened. Then I will watch it, as long as I know what it is and where to find it. Dawn says, is the Diana Awards ongoing award, or is it just for this year? Well, I thought it was just for this year. However, on the photographs I was getting back of William and Harry giving out the awards, I was getting back that it was the inaugural ceremony. So inaugural means first. So that indicated that there might be, it could be ongoing. So I think we're going to have to just wait, but the evidence is pointing towards it's going to be ongoing. Jamie says, Kittles and Coke and Royal Reviewer, bye-bye exam stress. And I've got my tea to help me too. Dawn says, ew, Freya. Yeah, I think those of us with slightly morbid curiosities get it. I mean, I quite like, I mean, I really would be intrigued to, you know, see the exhumation of like Henry VIII or Elizabeth I. I really would like to take a peek in the coffin, in the casket, which probably is very, very morbid, but it would be so interesting to see. It really would. And you can never be afraid of a load of old bones. I mean, come on. Van Al says, so Prince William's children are princes and princesses, but Prince Harry's are not. It's because of the line of succession. So basically, while the Queen is still alive, because of Harry's place in the line, basically his children wouldn't be princes and princesses. When the Queen dies and Harry is the son of a king rather than the son of the heir apparent, his children would be elevated to princely status. Jamie's laughing at my Molly and my Rory, my cats. So on my new channel, I showed you them. And yes, Rory is a bit portly, shall we say. And Molly's little skinny, a skinny mini. Candice says, just subscribe to your new channel. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy it when there's more than one video. But of course, this is the sort of content that I can put out in my own time. When I'm doing sort of news reporting on the royals, I have to kind of keep up with the stories that are happening as and when they happen. Whereas when it's my own content, you know, nobody else can replicate that content. So I can take my time, I can do it as and when I want to. Jamie tweeted me the photo of the outfit that was voted her worst. I will have a look, I'm intrigued. So I'm going to pop on my Twitter right now. And it was in Toronto 1984, says Jamie. Political Vector just subscribed to my new channel. Thank you very much. I'm just hopping on Twitter now. Jamie says, hopefully you'll live to 115 so you can see it. With reference to the photo. MSNB says, Elliot, I heard a rumour that Australia, New Zealand, etc. plan to announce their independence after the Queen dies. I think that is just a rumour. I don't think they would just announce it. They would probably have to have a referendum on it, a bit like Australia did. And the people voted at the last referendum to remain, to keep the Queen as the head of state, or the monarch as the head of state. So I think it would have to go through referendums again. But I don't think that's likely to happen immediately after her death. Okay, I'm just looking at the, oh yes. That is a bit of an outfit. It's, yeah. Okay, for those of you who kind of can't see, I'll try and show you. Hang on. Okay, can you guys see that? If I just kind of tilt it. So that's the outfit that Jamie thinks is horrendous. And I have to agree, it probably kind of is a little bit. Freya says, I'm applying for a job at historic royal palaces. Wow. Which part of it? Which position? Jamie says, who are the Chelsea pensioners? They are ex-military service people, and they go to be, well, what's called Chelsea pensioners. So they go and live in kind of like these Chelsea sort of grace and favour homes. And of course they wear the red outfit, and they come out and do ceremonial duties. And it's quite an esteemed position to hold. Becky says, as a mortician, most really wouldn't want to see the damage done to a body by an autopsy? Yes, I mean, it would be quite horrific, I would imagine. But I've never actually seen one, so I wouldn't know. Freya says, do you think they will have an investiture for Prince William when he's created Prince of Wales? Probably. Might not be quite on the same scale as Charles, but I would imagine they would do something. Freya says, I love looking at autopsy photos. I looked through the American President John F. Kennedy's and they were really interesting. Of course, I mean, people long ago learned a lot about the human body through autopsies. So you can learn a lot if you can stomach looking at the pictures, that is. And Candice says, your garden is so lush. Are you growing veggies in there too? I will be. I'm assuming if you've watched the video, if you look through the greenhouse window, you can see a patch of earth which has been cleared. I have to do a little bit more weeding and then it's ready to plant up. And of course, all of that will go on that channel in my gardening playlist. Steve says, the Royal Hospital Chelsea, where Margaret Thatcher is interred. Political Vector says, Elliot, it seems that Prince Andrew's girls just never get the respect or attention that you think they might. Why not? Does it have anything to do with their lack of charisma and beauty? Well, of course, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I think, so, you know, sometimes they get the outfits and the hair really, really right, and sometimes they don't. So I suppose, like I say, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Charisma, I think they do have a certain amount of charisma. I certainly think, you know, people still want to go out and see them and greet them. I think the problem is that they haven't got an official royal role. I think, you know, some people kind of think that they're a bit on the sidelines, which kind of they are. They're on a little bit of the peripheral of the family, whether that's intentional or not, whether that's right or wrong. I think if they were doing more official duties, they would get more respect and more attention. Ren says, good evening everyone, and Elliot, hope everyone is having a lovely evening, and I hope you are too. David says, Elliot, how come the Prime Minister didn't address Parliament? Because Parliament has been dissolved. We're in the middle of fighting an election. So she did make a speech. She did go on the steps of number 10 and make a speech about it, as of course she would, but Parliament has been formally dissolved for the election. So that's why there is no Parliament at the moment. Ken says, was the older Prince of Wales coronet ever returned after the Duke of Windsor's death? I'm not sure, to be honest. I know that the Prince of Wales, Prince Charles's one, is a new creation, and actually the little ball at the top is actually a ping pong ball that is coated in gold. But as for the original, I'm not so sure. I did go to the Tower of London to see the Crown Jewels a year and a half ago now, and I don't remember seeing it in there. So I presume not, but I can't say for certain on that one. Freya says, you're applying to be a curator at Kew Palace. Wow. Well, I really hope you do well and get it. I really do. So good luck. Have you got an interview date? Becky says, those weren't that bad. You really didn't see that much on his. Oh dear says, sorry I'm late joining today. Hi everyone. Love your basket brooch. Of course, the Queen's replica flower basket brooch. You will have a look at my garden video after this vlog. Carol says, what are Sloane Rangers? Well, they're kind of like trendy, you know, young, hip women who kind of inhabit Chelsea and Kensington in London. They're very fashionable, very chic, very on trend, a little bit like socialites, you know, kind of high society girls. And they're from that area, Kensington, Chelsea. You know, they dine out with friends, ladies who lunch, and they're called Sloane Rangers. Diana was classed as a Sloane Ranger, and I think Meghan is being kind of tarred with that same brush. But I don't think it's anything necessarily bad to be tarred with. I'd love to be a Sloane Ranger. Dawn says, I think Eugenie is absolutely beautiful. I think she looks like the Queen Mother, and I think Beatrice looks like Queen Victoria. I actually, now that you've said it, like Beatrice probably does. Like I say, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Steve says, the Royal Hospital is where Chelsea pensioners live. Dawn says, saw the teaser of the next season of Victoria. I didn't know it was out. Is it out? I will watch it. I will definitely watch that. David says, what kind of tea are you drinking? You like Darjeeling? This is just normal supermarket tea. I like Sainsbury's supermarket red label tea. I've had it since I was a child. My parents always bought it and I've stuck with it. So I do like that tea. And you reminded me to drink it. I've had a bit of hay fever this week, so I've had to remember to drink lots. And I got a little bit dehydrated the other day with all the heat. So I'm having to remind myself to keep drinking. So please tell me to keep drinking. Jamie says, Elliot, my aunt, the one who showed me the Diana collection, is coming to London with us. We spent all day planning what we're going to see. Yes, and by the way, the Tower of London is great. Definitely go on the Beefeater tour. They sort of have they give you a time and you line up and wait for your Beefeater, and or your Tower Guard, and they show you around, and they are incredibly funny. They are, in fact, they make the whole place really, and the crown jewels are spectacular, and all the history is just amazing. Dawn says, Freya, if you get the job, you will have to let the royals know how wonderful I am. Oh, thank you. But unfortunately, the royals aren't at Kew Palace. But if you do get the job, it will be an amazing job. Jamie says, Westminster Abbey, Buckingham Palace, Windsor Castle, and St Paul's and Kensington Palace. That's a lot to visit. But yes, those are all things that pretty much I've got on my list too. Political Vector says, Elliot, the Princess Royal doesn't get the attention she deserves, although she always tops the list of the hardest working royal. And I think people generally in their conscience or in their subconscious know that. You think she's a hidden jewel and would make an excellent queen. I agree. She has lots of the Queen's qualities, a lot of Prince Philip's resilience too. A combination of both, I think. And you think she believes that as well. Are Charles and Anne close? I think they're about as close as, you know, brothers and sisters get. I think they're probably more close than what he is with Andrew and Edward. I'm not saying they aren't close, but I think, you know, they're more of a similar age. There's a bit more of a gap between Andrew and Edward, so probably more of a bond. Although I'm sure they all look out for each other anyway. David says, "Is Catherine mad at Camilla?" No, that's that silly channel, the top half, putting out rubbish. I saw the same thing. It's completely rubbish. You read something that Camilla keeps referencing Diana's death. No, it's a complete load of twaddle, as we say in the UK. Complete false. It's all come from that channel called The Top Half, which basically puts out a load of tut every single day. Made up tut. Freya says, Elliot, do you like Kate Williams? I think she's my favourite historian after Lucy Worsley. Well, I'm not quite sure I like Lucy Worsley, if she's the one that I'm thinking of. But I can't picture Kate Williams. Maybe if I saw a picture of her, I'd know. Jamie says, I always think of Anne as the Queen of Scotland. Yeah, I mean, well, obviously our Queen is the Queen of Scotland. But, you know, she has a certain affinity with Scotland, I think we can certainly say. And of course, her daughter Zara got married in Scotland. So that kind of cemented her link to Scotland. Freya says, was the Earl of Wessex named after the Duke of Windsor? Who knows? I mean, the Queen's never revealed who she's named her children after. Although, you know, there is that family link. But then again, it's also a royal name going back through the generations. So, you know, it could have that link, or it could just be that it's a royal name that she liked and she's gone with that. Okay, so for those of you who have just joined the chat, it's live. You can ask me any royal reviewer, you know, any royal question that you want to ask. Please don't be shy, say hello, and I will try and answer the questions as best I can. It's a Chelsea Flower Show themed show today with my flowers and my flower basket brooch, and you know, the flowers that I've got over here. Some are fake, some are real. hopefully I might get some. Oh, by the way, for next week, and I should have said this perhaps at the start of the chat. So next week there will be no live chat. That's because of family commitments. So I can't do next week, and I can't do it on the Friday either. So there will be no Royal Review at live chat next week, but it will resume on the Saturday the 3rd. No, hang on. Where am I? No, we're back on the 10th. Next week is the 3rd. That's cancelled. The 10th of June, I'm back. So no chat next week, but the week after I'm back on the 10th. And I'll mention that again at the end. And I'll put it on Twitter and Facebook too. Oh dear says, thought it was so good the Queen took time to visit the young people in hospital. I agree, and we did speak about that earlier. And the general consensus was that everyone thought it was the right thing to do and that she said all the right things too. Ren says, I like Hannah Grieg, who is the historian for the Victoria series on the BBC. She did a really good job in making sure that everything was, you know, as factual as it could be. So yes, I agree. I think she was very good. Jamie says, Lucy Worsley is more of a royal historian and Kate Williams is more of a royal expert. Yes, but I'm still, I mean, I'm not sure. Maybe it's the program format. Some of the program formats don't show exactly kind of what I want to see, and some of them don't approach it in the way that I would if I was doing it. So I think sometimes I may get a little bit put off by the fact it's not done how I want it done. Okay, Freya's just describing Lucy to me. She's a historian with short blonde hair who did documentaries like A Very British Romance and Inside the Royal Bedchamber. She's chief curator at Historic Royal Palaces. No, I'm thinking of the one with the really frizzy hair. I'm not keen on her. Oh dear says, enjoyed the coverage on Chelsea Flower Show. It was amazing, and that's another place I really want to go, is the Chelsea Flower Show. Becky says, so what did you think of Catherine's dress for Pippa's wedding? I liked it. I thought it was very classy. It was reminded me a little bit of 70s style. I've got a photograph of my mother wearing something very similar from the 70s. But I liked it. It suited her. I liked the colour. I think it complemented Pippa's dress. And it didn't, you know, try to overshadow Pippa, which I think was intentional. But nevertheless, it looked really good, and she kind of matched the flowers too. So I liked it. I really did. Jamie says, this means this is my last chat until the exams. I'm afraid so. So I'm really sorry, but I can't make next week. Theta says, David, pet peeve of mine, Catherine is no longer Kate Middleton. She's a Duchess of Cambridge. And yes, you are a royal pain in the bottom. I agree. I mean, the media still calls her Kate Middleton. Sometimes in my videos, I've had to resort to putting tags and things of Kate Middleton, because when people do searches for videos about Catherine, they type Kate Middleton. So to a certain extent, although I don't like it, I have to kind of bend a little bit to the fact that other people do call her Kate Middleton. But it is the media's fault. They keep, you know, in the headlines, they keep putting Kate Middleton. And I try to resist it as much as I can because I don't like it. But, you know, in my keywords and things like that, to help people find the videos, I do put that in. But I try to resist it as much as I can. Loretta says, hi, are there any pictures of Meghan Markle from the reception? Not that I'm aware of. But if anyone does know of one, please send it to me and I will make a video about it. But no, I haven't got anything yet. People are selling Prince Harry's and everyone's menu card from the wedding. Someone's got a hold of them. It could have been the staff at the wedding reception. It could have been guests, but someone's selling them on eBay. So if you want Prince Harry's menu card with his name on it that he held, you can go on eBay. I think it's still up, and you can put a bid in. I'm not sure how much it's up at now, or even if it is still up. Who knows? Becky loved Catherine's look. and she took care of all the children. She did. Of course, that was repaying the favour because Pippa did the same at her wedding. Political Better says, Elliot, thanks for the videos on Pippa Middleton's wedding and the glass enclosure. It was kind of like, I don't know, an orangery. Well, it reminded me very much of the Crystal Palace that burnt down. So yeah, it was amazing and very expensive. Estimates come in at £120,000 conservatively. And yes, it was trucked in from another country. And yes, I agree. I think probably the whole wedding was close to £1 million. Becky says, Locke said it looked frumpy. I liked it. I did like it. Okay, it wasn't clingy. It wasn't figure hugging, but you know, it looked. I think it still looked classy. I really did. I liked it. It was something different, and who knows? It may start new trends very soon. Freya says, Susanna Lipscomb, she has the curly hair and nose ring. No, I don't think it's so. I don't remember a. I think it's the Worsley lady. The one who did about the. I'm sure it was about the palaces, about the different royal residences. I didn't like that, and she's done a few about the Tudors as well. Political Vector says the Duchess of Cambridge always looks impeccable. I would agree. Jamie says some fake, some real, when your flowers represent modern society. I suppose that's true. Some fake and some real. Can you tell the fake ones? Oh, Becky says they were taken off eBay, so you can't. So I think there's been a little bit of meddling from the Middletons on that one. Freya says, do you think James Middleton will marry Donna Eyre? No, I don't. No, I don't. But who knows? They may. But it has been fairly on-off, so I'm not sure whether they are that well matched. Becky thinks she was looking so classy. Jamie says, Elliot, will the palace be open this summer? Yes, it will. I would imagine they'll probably leave those particular rooms for as late as they can, or renovate those rooms when the palace is closed anyway. So it will still be open. Or certainly for this year, it's still open. Will the Queen have to move out? I would imagine if they were doing her part of the palace where her rooms are, she may have to move to a different part, or she may just reside at Windsor until her bits of the palace are fixed, or she may choose to make a permanent move to Windsor until the whole thing is done. It depends, I suppose, how much of a problem the works are becoming and which phase they're on. And Becky says, yes, Pippa made sure they were taken down. Jamie says, tell us a bit more about what you planned for London. I definitely want to see the palace. I definitely want to see Kensington Palace. I definitely want to see Westminster Abbey. And I also want to go to little sort of quaint English tea shops. There was one I saw in Kensington, which I didn't get a chance to go in. So I want to go back to that one. I want to have lunch in the Kensington Palace Orangery. So that'll make another good video. I want to do a little bit more walking around. Oh, by the way, in the palace, I think you can go around the garden. So hopefully I can make some videos about the gardens too. So basically, I just want to do as much as I can. Maybe even the banqueting house, because that's quite near the Westminster Abbey. So hopefully I can do all those things and maybe more. Candice said, I liked Catherine's dress as well. However, there was just a little too much of it. At certain angles, it looked like she was swimming in it. The colour was beautiful. Becky says, do you know if Althorp will be open? Yes, because the renovations were supposed to be for the anniversary of Diana's death. And that's the renovations to the Oval, which is where she's buried. So yes, it will be open. Becky is wanting to come from Kentucky to the UK. Well, please do. I'm sure you will really enjoy it. But remember, London is just a snapshot of the UK. the majority of the UK isn't really anything like London. So if you want to see the real UK, you need to travel out of London. Freya says, David Starkey is the one historian I can't stand. So I understand disliking documentarians. I don't mind David Starkey so much. I quite liked his monarchy series. I thought it was fairly in-depth. But he does have a tendency to kind of put a little bit of his own agenda into what he's saying. So as long as you know what to look for, you know, and kind of which bits to kind of believe, I suppose, then you're okay watching his stuff. Critical Vector, Elliot, what do you know about the Duke and Duchess of Kent? They are a very attractive couple that do live in apartments at Buckingham Palace. Do you have any insight? Well, they have. They also have apartments at Kensington Palace. So yes, I mean they've lived there for a very, very long time. It's kind of classed as a grace and favour home because they carry out work on behalf of the Queen. So I know Prince and Princess Michael of Kent, they kind of don't do that much official duty, so they've had to start paying rent now. The Duke and Duchess of Kent, I think they still get a very much reduced rate, and they are held in very high esteem and favour by the Queen. Of course, she regards most of her extended family as very close, and she does, you know, at certain points in the year have all of them round at Christmas and after Trooping the Colour, and those kind of things are occasions where she does get all the family involved. So, and of course they are still carrying out work on behalf of the Queen, representing the Queen as and when is needed. Becky says, you'll come and we'll do it all. I would love to, so very, very, very much. Jamie says, will I be staying over in London? Yes, possibly 2 or 3 nights. Becky says Diana is not buried there. Well, I mean, we can go into a whole debate about whether she's buried there or not. Some people think that, you know, the coffin being lead lined is too heavy and it would sink. Some people say she was cremated and put in the family church. Personally, I mean, you all know I'm not a big favour of conspiracy theories. I don't think it's true that she was cremated secretly and put in the tomb. Basically because in her will she stated that she wanted to be buried, and in the UK somebody's will is legally binding. The executors of the will, which was her mother and I think someone else, had a duty, a legal duty, to make sure that whatever the wishes were in the will were carried out, and that was buried. It wasn't cremated. So for them to stay on the right side of the law, they would have had to have had her buried. Unless they applied to get some kind of legal thing through, but there wasn't time for that. There wasn't time to put in legal objections to the will. You know, it was all done really quick. So purely based upon the fact that it was in her will that she wanted to be buried, that was her wish, it had to be adhered to. So to me, that kind of trumps all the theories, all the conspiracy theories that she's not buried there. Although please let me know what you think. Deborah will be looking forward to the videos when I visit all those places, and of course I will try and film as much as I can of what I'm allowed to, because some places may not allow filming. Becky says she is not on the Oval. I've never thought that. Well, again, I mean, I've explained my reasons why I think she is there, but yes, I mean, I'm sure these theories will carry on and on and on. Freya says, are you going to London alone? No, with my partner. And Theta says, is Kensington Palace in walking distance to Buckingham Palace? You can walk. I mean, it's not a quick walk, but you could walk. You know, maybe 30 minutes on foot, probably. Something like that. And Oh Dear says, where does Prince Edward and Countess Sophie live? They live in Windsor Great Park. Freya says, in Bagshot. Their little bit of in Windsor is called Bagshot, and it's on Windsor Great Park. Freya says, is it walking distance? You have to cross Hyde Park and Green Park to get to Buckingham Palace. But I think it takes about 30 minutes, I think. Becky says, a body becomes property of the next of kin. The will is not read till after the funeral. I think this one probably was. And of course, if somebody has an express wish as to how they wish to be buried, that would be very important. Very, 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 very important. And of course, as we know, a lot of the royals plan their funerals. You know, the Queen Mother, the Queen, Prince Philip, I'm sure Charles has got a funeral planned. So they do make provisions, you know, for their funerals should they die. And Diana did the same thing. So I don't really accept that they didn't know what she wanted. You know, otherwise, why would you put that in? You know, why would that be something in a will that you would stipulate? Michelle says, hello from Pittsburgh, PA, sending heartfelt sorry for the Manchester tragedy. We have already given our condolences to the families, but I would very much like to add your condolence to all of ours and in sending Manchester great love and support. Betta says, when are you going to London? In August for my birthday. Political Vet says, Elliot, how do you get all of your royal pictures so quickly? You seem to be very dialed in. Well, I've got lots of feelers out, and as and when pictures come in, I kind of put them all together and, you know, hopefully have enough to make a good video. Sometimes, you know, you have to balance between waiting a certain amount of time before you get all the pictures in, at risk of missing some. You know, sometimes it's happened where, you know, I've waited maybe half an hour and had so many pictures, but then once I put the video out, you know, an hour later, you know, 25 new pictures have come. So sometimes you have to kind of get the balance between waiting the right amount of time, and I'm getting a lot better at, you know, judging how long it takes for pictures to come in from an event. Becky says, as a mortician, I can't imagine them placing Diana into water. Well, of course, it wasn't directly into water. I know what you mean about, you know, it's an oval that's surrounded by water and that the water can obviously seep through, but it's lead lined, and if it's sealed correctly, the water shouldn't technically get in, I would imagine. So I think they probably would have made sure that it was sealed properly. And as for it sinking, well, I don't think it would necessarily sink because it's a man-made oval, so the land would have been solid. So I don't really think it's got much place to sink to. But either way, it's a body, it's buried. The intention is that it never comes up again anyway. So I think all those things, I just really don't think that she was cremated. It goes against her wishes, and it wouldn't have been legal to do so. Jamie says, oh, you have to switch over at Birmingham. Yes, I would have to switch at Birmingham. Freya says, you will have to see Queen Mary's Rose Garden in Regent's Park. Yes, that would be lovely. And of course, I love roses. We know that Catherine at Kensington Palace also has a rose garden in her sort of courtyard, walled garden. Becky says, right, I think when they dug down into the island, they would have hit water. Is there a cemetery at Kensington Palace? No cemetery at Kensington Palace that I know of. There is Royal Frogmore. And I think probably when Diana said she wanted to be buried, that's probably what she was thinking of. I think she may have been thinking that in the future she would have been buried at Frogmore. So that indicated to me that she wanted a burial somewhere royal. Of course, that didn't happen. You know, she went back to her ancestral home. But like I say, because it's not a natural island, it hasn't got a natural kind of water table like a natural lake would have had. So perhaps they wouldn't have hit water. It depends how deep they went. Jamie says, what about Kew Gardens? I'd like to visit all the gardens. There's so many great aristocratic gardens. The Eden Project I'd like to go and see. There's lots and lots and lots. Becky says, I guess I'm thinking as a funeral person. I mean, you know, your insight is really valuable. But But I just think they wanted somewhere private to put Diana. That was that was a private place. It was her ancestral home. It was a place where she wasn't really going to get disturbed. And I think, you know, any cares about whether necessarily, you know, she would sink or not was probably not even registered. I think they probably would have made sure that the lead was fused correctly, so that probably the water won't ever get in. But you know, does it really matter if it sinks a little bit? It's the intention is that it's never going to come up. Freya says, then you can get a coffee at Regent's Bar and Kitchen. There's so many good places to eat. Candice says, I'm intrigued by the plant on your side table. You know what kind it is. Do you mean this one? It's an orchid. And it's actually fake. That's a fake one. So it's a fake orchid. But I do have some real orchids, but that one's fake. Becky says, no, I've never thought she was cremated either. And Jamie says, Elliot, how long will you be there for? Oh, I don't know. 3 days, maybe 3-4 days. Fuzzy Bucket says, has a rose been named for Catherine yet? I'm not. I mean, my favourite roses are David Austin roses, which are from Shropshire, and I think they have made one after her, but I will check that out. Jamie says, I still remember when I was 5 or 6, asking my mum where she was buried. My mum said, not really knowing much, no one knows. And I think that's what started my interest in the family. I still think she's on the island. I'm sorry to have to say to anyone who, you know, who wants to believe a conspiracy theory, but I do take the official line on this one. Freya says, what is Spencer House in the St James's area used for? Is that the one they use for offices? Possibly offices these days. Political Vector says, Princess Diana was not a commoner. Why did the press always refer to her in those terms? Because even though she's aristocratic, it's still not royal. You are a commoner unless you have a HRH, I'm afraid. And of course, she wasn't a duke or a duchess or a countess in her own right. She was a lady, Lady Diana. So that's not technically royal. Jamie says, did you hear of the London Pass? And oh yes. Well, I did last time I went. I didn't use the tube, so there was no need for me to get an Oyster card. I actually used the hop-on tour buses, the London bus tour, to get around. And of course, if you stay on there long enough, you get to wherever you want to go, and you learn about the area as you go. Van Al says, I meant the green leafy plant. This one. It's some sort of fern. I think it's fern. Ren says there is a Catherine and William rose at this year's Chelsea. What colour is it? I need to get it. What colour? Please let me know what colour. Freya says, I just looked up Spencer House, owned by Earl Spencer, but is leased to Lord Rothschild for 96 years. Now, what does he do with it? Because I think he may have it for offices, or is renting it out for some kind of office place, perhaps. Yes, what colour is the rose? I really want to know. Okay, so I'm going to just have a look at my list. Oh, I appear to have lost my list. Ah, I found it. So, oh yes, the Queen. The Queen and Philip attended the 100-year service for the Order of British Empire. You know, that's a sort of honour that's given out to people who deserve it. And it's the 100-year anniversary. I can't believe it. So it just means, you know, there's been 100 years of valuable community work that's been rewarded. And I just think that goes to show how successful these schemes are. and how much we would miss them if they were to go. So I'm really pleased that we carry on with these kind of traditions in honouring normal everyday people for the good work and service that they show to their local communities and others in, you know, raising money for charities and you know, just being all round good people and not necessarily wanting anything back in return. So I think it's a really good way of showing our communities the support that they should they should get. Okay, one story that I put out a few hours ago was that Prince Harry has met Barack Obama. Obviously not as president anymore, but they met at Kensington Palace at Harry's home to discuss the Manchester attacks. Barack Obama was in Scotland. He took a private jet down to London and they met. So there was only one photo released. The other photos in the video are of previous occasions they've met. So they met when Harry was promoting the Invictus Games in America. They also met when Barack Obama and Michelle Obama came over to the UK, and they met at Kensington Palace in William and Catherine's own apartment, apartment 1A. And there's a few photos of that too. So I hope you enjoy that video too. Jamie says, if you stay on the bus long enough, why can't I just imagine you sitting on top of the bus for hours? And basically that did happen, don't laugh. We got on one route the last time and we thought it was a quick route, but it was a 2-hour route and we were stuck on the bus at night time for 2 hours until we got to where we wanted to go. So it does happen, but it was a really fun experience and we actually thoroughly enjoyed it and we learned so much, and we were chatting to the tour guide and it was an amazing experience. So I enjoyed my night bus experience, but yes, we were basically stuck on a bus for 2 hours. Becky says, yes, Her Majesty, I've been a funeral director in Barmouth since 1988 and you enjoy your job. I'm sure it is a rewarding job to, you know, put people in a good place ready for their send-off. And Ren says the Catherine and William rose is white, very full and beautiful. I think I need that rose. Freya says, I do miss Barack Obama. He seemed to get on so well with the Windsors. Theta says, what did I miss? Had to clean up a mess my cat made. We were just talking more about Diana and London and the Windsors. Fuzzy Puppet says, I wonder if Meghan is still in London. I believe so. We haven't seen her pop up in Toronto. Becky says, no, it's not the dead who I'm scared of, it's the living. I agree there. You say it can be sad at times, but I can help people at the worst moment in their lives. That's basically what I was saying. Candice says, Michelle Obama certainly looks and dresses very differently than when she was First Lady. But of course, she doesn't have to put on a show and a performance anymore. And she's not under the same scrutiny. Political Vector says, Elliot, I love the little town of Bradford on Avon. Stayed in a charming bed and breakfast across from the Fleur-de-Lys ancient pub. It was haunted and very active. It was fabulous. Do you know it? No, I don't know it. But I'm not so keen on haunted. I can deal with morbid, but I'm not very good with haunted, I'm afraid. Jamie says, why don't we see the Queen in day dresses anymore? They were so beautiful. I think she does it at the palace. When we see her, for example, meeting Theresa May, she does wear day dresses then. But out when she's out and about on public occasions, she normally stays to the sort of coat dresses that she wears. Feta says, I worked in a career centre and was surprised at how many people asked about the funeral industry. Well, you're never going to run out of business. Becky Scott says, I really miss President Obama too. And Jamie says, Elliot, you've got a 950 subscribers this week. Yes, it's amazing. Hopefully I will be at 9,000 very soon. And I had a massive surge of views as well, especially over the whole Pippa Middleton videos. And one video of the Queen at 91 driving her car also had a sudden surge of views. So I think that's probably encouraged all the new subscribers. So if you are a new subscriber to the channel, thank you for subscribing, and I hope you enjoy all the videos. Freya says, who's your favourite female consort of all time? Famous, let me think. Male, well, there haven't really been that many male consorts, so I would probably say, I'd have to say Albert, Prince Albert, because simply there hasn't been that many. Queen Elizabeth didn't really have a consort. She was she remained unmarried. Mary, her sister, did marry, but I didn't really like Philip of Spain. No, so there wasn't really that many. So probably I'm going to have to go with Albert. Although if we're going to include Prince Philip as a consort, although he's not Prince Consort, I might have to say Prince Philip too. Freya says, who is your second favourite royal family after the British? I would agree, I think the Swedish. I definitely think the Swedish. Jamie says, when will we see more uploads on the new channel? Hopefully this week. And hopefully I can launch sort of different playlists. So the different aspects of my life I will start putting out there. But certainly this week there may be some more gardening videos too. Ren says, thank you for doing these chats. They are really enjoyable. Look forward to them. And Freya says, did you hear about Mary Queen of Scots movie coming out? No, I didn't. But I'm very interested in that. And I love any sorts of movies or TV documentaries about royal queens. James says, Philip and Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. MSNB says, happy for all of you that our president has left Europe. Sorry, he is back in the US. And on that note, I'm going to leave our chat for tonight. So thank you for everyone who's joined in. I really do appreciate it every single week that you keep coming back. And I'm really sorry that I can't do next week, but I will be back the week after. So let's just go through that again for those of you who have missed it. I won't be doing a chat next week, which is Saturday the 3rd, but I will be back on Saturday the 10th of June. So I hope you all have an amazing time. Please enjoy the next 2 weeks. Of course, I'm not going away, so I will still be making new videos all the time. So please keep checking back and subscribe if you haven't, so you always get the latest updates. So from me in Shropshire today, hopefully see you in the next 2 weeks. So from me in Shropshire, goodbye.